Hey everybody, welcome back to the Land Shark Pickers channel. Just wanted to do a video to help with a problem that I think everybody probably faces. At least I know I've heard a lot of people talking about it in chat, on shows, things like that. But just wanted to talk about, give you 5 tips on how to eliminate or significantly increase, increase, yeah, that's not what we want to do. Significantly decrease your reseller or eBay backstock or death pile. So let's get started real quick. And these are somewhat in order. But the first thing is, just like any large task or a task that takes a lot of time, you can't feel overwhelmed. If your pile, your death pile, your 401k pile, your backstock, whatever you want to call it, in the end, it really doesn't matter what you call it. It's unlisted inventory. At some point, you made a decision to buy it. Whether that was a good decision or not, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's your inventory. If your pile is as large as mine, it's very overwhelming. That's why a lot of us, I believe, don't spend as much time paying attention to our overstock, our unlisted inventory. It's overwhelming. And I think the first step is to eliminate that feeling of being overwhelmed. And one way to do that is to break whatever task you're going to have down into smaller manageable pieces or smaller manageable tasks. You know, if you've got, just using a number, 1,000 pieces of unlisted inventory, don't think of it as that. Grab 20 items, put them in a tote. I use these, I don't even know what size this is. It's a decent sized little tote. Could probably fit, depending on what you're working with, 30 to 50 items in it. I prefer to grab in the 20 to 30 range, put them in one of these totes, and work from that. I usually work with 2 totes. It's very manageable. One for what I'm sourcing out of, one right next to it here in the floor, where I'll drop the items that I process. Grab one out of the unlisted, work on it, finish it, drop it in another tote. So you're seeing a small sample of items to work from, and you've got another pile next to you where you're seeing progress. You're seeing items that have been listed. Kind of that gratification kind of thing, instant results. So number one, just don't feel overwhelmed. Break it up into smaller pieces, smaller tasks, smaller number of items. Number 2, and I think this is kind of critical to the whole idea of reducing or eliminating your backstock, is stop buying while you're attacking this pile. If I'm going to process 20 items and sit here and reduce my pile by 20 items in an hour's time, 2 hours time, however long, but yet I go to the thrift store and I bring 30 items more back in, I've netted nothing. Because now it's later in the day, I've spent a couple hours processing these 20 items, and I'm no better off for it other than having some new items, coming in the house. If you've watched my other video, I did a changes in 2019 for my business. One of my changes is that I'm not going to source until I have everything that is unlisted listed. So far, after 4 days, I have not been to a thrift store. I have not sourced since I made that commitment. So I'm still doing well with that. It's been a challenge, but and that, I think that's going to be one of the larger challenges to this these steps is, stop buying for a period of time. Apparently your death pile is valuable, or you would have thrown it in the garbage, or you probably wouldn't have bought it in the first place. So number 1, don't feel overwhelmed. Break it up into smaller tasks. Number 2, stop buying while you're attacking the pile. Number 3, and this kind of falls along in that same line, become more efficient with your listing. One thing that I've decided to do, and everybody does things differently, but I've always drafted and taken pictures as 2 separate steps. I don't sit down and pick up one item, draft my listing, walk over to my picture-taking area, take a picture, fill in the details, complete it, all that. I always grab a group of items, whether it's 10, 15, 20 items, put them in a tote, draft every one of them. Whatever that number is, it doesn't matter. Draft every one of them, sit here until you finish that. At some point, move over, take all your pictures. If you're working with a larger number of items, a lot of items that you have to do a lot of research on, it can get monotonous. It can, you can get burnt out easily on doing that. So what I like to do, what I've decided to do now, I haven't done it yet, but this is kind of how I've done it in the past, is I'll sit here and spend an hour or 2 drafting Then I'll go off and do some other tasks, whether it's, you know, participating in a hangout on YouTube, watching a YouTube video, go fix lunch, run an errand, go to the bank, you know, whatever. Find something to break up that time so you're just not getting burnt out on, hey, I've just spent 2 hours and I've got another 2 hours to take pictures and all that. So try and break those up into reasonable amounts of time, so you don't get burnt out and, hey, I just sat here for 5 hours listing straight. And that's tough to do, and that's why I think a lot of people don't make a lot of progress against their death piles. It's because, number one, like we said, number one, it was overwhelming, but number two, it takes a lot of time. So number one, don't feel overwhelmed. Number two, stop buying. Number three, become more efficient with your listing process and take breaks while you're doing it. Number four, don't be afraid to just chunk, throw away, or redonate items that are unworthy. There's nothing wrong with not admitting. There's not a problem with realizing that you made a bad buy. You know, it happens. It's part of the game. Not everybody buys home run items, and if I got an item I bought 6 months ago that's in my death pile, it may have been worth something then, but it's lost value. The market's not bearing a price where I can make money on it anymore. So don't be afraid to just grab that item, throw it away, put it in the garbage, donate it, whatever. You know, if you redonate it, keep up with it. It's a tax deduction, just like a return, etc. But just don't feel like you have to list every item that's in your backstock, in your death pile, in your unlisted inventory. I know part of my death pile. I've got some items that are part of auctions that I won, where I bought a bulk lot of things. I get in a bad habit of picking up onesie, twosie little items and saying, I've got to list this item at $9.99 free shipping. You know, I'm not saying that's a bad deal, but if you're attacking a death pile, you really can't look. You've got to make progress. And if you're focusing on small items with marginal profits, it's going to be hard. So I think don't be afraid to just get rid of those things. If they've been there, if they were valuable enough, you would have spent more time on listing them. And when I say you, I mean me as well, because I'm guilty of this as well. So don't be afraid to get rid of those items at all. It's hard. I've got a hoarder type mentality. You know, I always want to hold on to something. I always think, hey, I may need that again. You know, but sometimes the longer you hold on to something, it loses value. You just never know. So don't be afraid to just get rid of something. Number 5, last one. And this one kind of rolls up everything. If you're not doing 1 through 4, 5 really doesn't matter. So number 5, be consistent in your efforts to reduce your pile. You can't do this just one day and expect that you're going to get it done in 6 hours. If your pile is, of reasonable size. You have to put in the time. Consistency. The reselling business is built around consistency. Whatever processes you're going to follow, you got to do them day in and day out. eBay, Cassini likes you to list all the time. Likes you to list regularly. Amazon, if you're going to do Amazon and be successful at it, you need to be sending shipments in weekly, monthly, twice a week, something like that. So you can build those orders coming in. Everything in reselling seems to be built around being consistent. So don't be afraid to attack these death piles. I really think these 5 items, I'm going to follow this list. I'm going to follow these tasks. I don't have a huge death pile, but I've got probably 10 or 12 totes full of stuff that I either need to get rid of or list. And I really think you'll be successful if you take these 5 steps. If you're going to follow these steps, make a comment below. Let's keep up with each other, see how things are going. It always helps to have an accountability partner to help you through the journey of killing your death pile. But the same thing can apply to other areas of your life or your family, your home life, etc. But I appreciate y'all watching. New people, if this is the first time you've watched one of our videos, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. If you like this type of video, please like it. Go ahead and subscribe. We've got our channel is starting to grow. Trying to do videos on a regular basis. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate your subscribing and watching our videos. Hope everybody has a nice day.